welcome to episode 53 of the Select Characters podcast. I am really fucking hungover, so I kind of want to get through this as soon as possible, so bear with me if I screw up every now and then. But to make sure that I don't go off on a tangent or complain too much about how sleepy I have two friends here. Samuel Yates. Hello, man.
What's up, little sleepy bear?
Oh, I'm so tired. And I've got Ryan Dildine.
Hey, how's it going?
So let's just talk about what we have been playing, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that.
And it has been another fantastic week for video games because we have all been playing the Overwatch beta. So let's just go over to the Blizzard-sized elephant in the room and talk about Overwatch. Who wants to start?
Overwatch is great, man.
Yeah, it's good fun.
That's just a good, clean, fun game. There's not there's nothing to look at and go like, wow, that's crazy, that's innovative, that's so brand new. It's just something that's extremely well done, which is what we've come to expect from Blizzard. And I don't know if this is going to be true after the beta's over, but at least for the beta, basically everybody I knew was playing it.
Yeah.
Same.
9.7 people played the beta over the course of that weekend, which is the largest amount of people playing a beta ever, even bigger than the one for Battlefront.
That's not very. That's not very many people.
Million?
Sorry?
9.7 million?
9.7 million. That is a lot of people.
You
man.
said 9.7.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Normally I would not be so pedantic as to call you out on that, but I think it's really funny that if it was just 9.7 people.
This is what 4 hours of sleep does to a man. But yeah, 9.7 million people have played the beta over the weekend, which is rather a lot.
That's more than a lot of games. That's more than most games ever get.
Yeah, if it sells that in the first couple of months of its retail release, I think it's going to be good, and it looks like it's going to be a success anyway. Blizzard was even surprised about the amount of people playing the game because they didn't thought people would have that much interest in it.
Yeah,
but apparently a lot of people came to that game, and I can sort of see why. Near the end of the beta, I started to really enjoy myself to the point where now when I see gameplay or I see mention of that game on Slack or on Reddit or something like that, I feel like I actually want to jump on and play a couple of games.
Yeah,
which
same here.
It's a 180 from the start of the beta where I was just not very impressed, and now I think I'm just going to get it on day one.
Yeah, hopefully.
I think Overwatch is really refreshing to a lot of people because competitive esports has pretty much been dominated by Counter-Strike and League of Legends up to this point, and Dota. But now you have a game that kind of mixes those two almost, and I think it's a really refreshing thing that people are still familiar with.
It's not really refreshing though, is it? It is essentially Team Fortress 2 with more heroes. That is literally all it is. But it's a more streamlined experience.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a Team Fortress 2 back when Team Fortress 2 came out, which was however many thousand years ago. Before they started adding all the craziness and the wacky items and all that stuff, but just a good, clean, team-based shooter in like the line of Unreal Tournament and the old Team Fortress 2. I definitely think it's been a while since we've had something like that.
Yeah, there's a very old school feel to the gameplay.
Yeah, without a
just
doubt.
Just in how quick it is, you know?
So playing it at first, it was just like a blast from the past almost, and almost to the point where it was like, this game, I don't know, I'm not entirely on board, I'm not sure, but something about it, man, it's just like there's a void right now for something you can just pick up and play in that context. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I appreciated the most about it was I can just pick it up, play it. I really didn't pay much attention to Overwatch until the game came out. And then I just hopped in and started playing. And that's something I really liked about it. And also was the length of the matches. Because I like to play competitive games, but I don't want to hop into a game that's going to take 45 minutes, or, to an hour to finish.
Yeah.
And that was probably the best thing for me was I was able to hop in, play a game for 10, 20, 30 minutes and then get out and go about my business.
I'm not really sure I like how short the matches are. I mean, it's great if you've only got about 10 minutes before you need to do something else, then it's absolutely fine. But the short length of the matches means that you can't really get used to the opposing team. And as such, you can't really, get a grasp on their minute-to-minute tactics and stuff like that. It's over so quickly, which I find a bit of a bummer, really.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to drag it out too much longer, but I agree with what you're saying. If it's normally the ones that are really super short are like the steamrolls, and it seems like if you actually get into a match where it's kind of close and you're starting to get a few overtimes on like almost every point because you're so tightly matched that those can be a lot longer, a lot more exciting.
Yeah. That hardly ever happened to me though, because even though I had a good time, I am terrible at this game. There's a video about Overwatch on our YouTube channel right now where I talk about my beta impressions, and the footage you see in that video, that is literally the best I could do out of a couple of hours of playing that game. Because I'm terrible at shooters, and I'm even more terrible at them on the PC. So it wasn't pretty. My statistics aren't really something I'm proud of, but even though I wasn't really doing all that great, it was a lot of fun because the way Blizzard designs their games, they've got an eye for detail and the art design is incredible. Every character sort of oozes personality and are instantly recognizable. And the fluid animation together with the pretty tight shooting mechanics makes for a very enjoyable experience overall.
Yeah, that's actually a good point because that might have been what felt so different about it, is that I had no compulsion to try and master Overwatch. Like I wanted to get better and I wanted to play it, but I never felt like, okay, it's time to grind down. It's time to start paying attention to everything. It's time to start say in comparison to something like Counter-Strike, where there's like, you want to be really good. So you need to put time into effort and mastery. Overwatch had none of that. And I think that might have been a lot of what drew me to it, or what I couldn't quite figure out was just that, like just jump in, play, have fun. And have fun regardless of where your current skill level is. Like the getting better was almost took a back burner to actually just playing the game.
Yeah, because the minute-to-minute moments in the actual matches are a lot of fun. Every encounter is pretty fun in and of itself, and it just looks awesome. No matter what you're doing, you look really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I noticed about it was, and I'm kind of curious if you guys felt this way. I was good with certain characters, and I was god awful with other characters.
Yeah, I'm terrible with Soldier 76 or 67, one of those, and I'm really good with Bastion.
Everybody's
listening now.
Can you left click?
Yeah, everybody's good with Bastion, and I'm terrible with Thorbjorn, I think he's called.
Yeah, the turret dude, little dwarf guy.
Yeah, exactly. I
had a hard time with him. Mostly I think like once I got the handle on what a character could do, and you spend enough time with them, I didn't really find that I sucked with anybody, but I definitely had better performers than others. I liked McCree a whole bunch. He was real fun.
He's just a cool character, man.
See, I was bad with McCree. I tried him a couple times. I was terrible. I could only really get a grasp of Pharah, Bastion, and who else was it? Oh, Widowmaker, and then Tracer towards the end. And other than that, I was god awful. Reinhardt, I was okay with Reinhardt, but other than that, yeah, I was really, really terrible, especially with characters like Genji and Soldier 76. I was and Reaper. Like I was just terrible with those.
Man, I like Soldier 76 a whole bunch. He does a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's just your regular quote unquote cookie cutter shooter character, isn't he?
I mean, I guess, but the thing is, like, he can run, so he's a little bit faster. He can heal. He's got a splash damage rocket.
He's got an aimbot as his ultimate.
Aimbot as his ultimate. I like that guy a good bit, just because his kit was so like a little bit average at everything.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, the character in and of itself is really cool as well. One of the things he says when he spawns is, "We're all soldiers now," and I'm like, "Fuck yes, good, let's do this." And then I get killed by a random Tracer because Tracer is really annoying to deal with.
That Tracer was one of my favorites because she has like an easy escape, just kind of like Pharah does, where you can just super jump out of the way, you know. And Tracer has multiple jumps, and then her shift, which is that jump back and heal or whatever it is. Yeah,
I played her wrong. Like for the first 2 or 3 days, I couldn't really get why that character was fun to play as, because the damage output is rather low, and the only thing she has is those quick dashes. But you're not really supposed to take on the enemy head on. You're supposed to distract them and be a general nuisance. And once I got that, Tracer became a lot more fun to play because you're not really there to stay, are you? You zip in, you shoot a couple of dudes, distract them, and then get out again, or the rest of your team can finish them off, and that is really cool.
And she's also really useful when the other team has like a squishy that's just like if they have a really good Widowmaker and you have a Bastion and the Widowmaker's just killing your Bastion over and over.
Which happens.
You just
a lot.
Search for that Widowmaker, poke her down a few times from a distance, and then you can warp in and finish the job, you know?
Yeah.
Tracer's one I didn't play much of.
Yeah, she takes a bit of getting used to, but overall, man, all the characters have got something for them, and they manage to make each and every single one of them unique in their own way. They all have a practical application and a counter to a different hero, which I thought was great and really well designed.
Yeah, there's a lot of really tiny things in that game that, like, complement each other. There was actually a tooltip in that game that said when you roll as McCree, he reloads his gun. And I didn't know that, but hey, like, actually useful tooltips? That's the first time that's happened in a long time.
Did you guys find that the switching heroes, was that something you found yourself doing a lot every death, or did you tend to stick with one character?
It really depends. It depended on what the other team was having at that time, and I would pick counters to certain other heroes. If they've got a lot of squishy assassin type characters, I would take a tank, for instance, or someone with a shield. So yeah, that did factor into every death really, because every time you die, you get the option to pick a different hero, and so you're always sort of thinking, should I take something else, or is the character I have now good enough to take on the rest of the other team? And I like how the game actively promotes or tries to nudge you in the direction of changing heroes as soon as possible and as often as possible.
Yeah,
it does, and I think that's important. It can keep. I think it kind of solves the problem of seeing the same characters or weapons used repeatedly in matches over and over and over, because you can live switch. So eventually a character is going to get used as the rotations keep happening, and that way you get used to all these characters, and you don't see it like where you have in like League of Legends where it's like 15 champions are viable and the other 100 something aren't.
yeah, all have their place, all have their uses.
Yeah, it's cool,
and they're all unique. Like all their kits are unique enough to not feel like they're just copy pasting.
I like to.
I mean, there's a significantly lower amount of heroes, but
I like to keep one person until I can use their ultimate. Generally, I won't switch, and like unless I'm getting absolutely crushed, I won't switch until I've built up the ultimate. Yeah,
that's a good one. Let's talk about the ultimates, because there are a couple of really, really cool ones in that game.
Yeah, the ultimates are great, man.
Yeah, they do completely change the flow of the gameplay in a way not many other games do, because that ultimate thing is straight out of Dota games, especially, essentially, and it works so well in this game. And if you hear enemy heroes activate theirs, you like the hairs on the back of your neck start to stand up.
Oh my god, which huge shout out to Blizzard for letting you kill them in the middle of their little speech and then they do their death sound.
Yeah.
That stuff is the funniest ever, man.
Whose ultimate did you guys find either the most satisfying or the most game changing?
Reapers. Yeah. Reapers is incredible. You just pounce on the enemy team, and you hit that Q button, and you kill everything, and then you get awarded play of the game. That's how you play that hero.
Yeah.
Reaper's good, Bastion's good. Utility
Widowmaker's really handy.
Yeah, utility-wise, Widowmaker. Like, it's not the flashiest one in the world, but being able to see where people are so you know when somebody's about to pop out from behind that wall, it's pretty choice.
I think hers was my favorite, too.
Which one?
Widowmaker. Widowmaker or Pharah, because hers, if you get the enemy clumped up, like they're screwed. She's super easy to shoot out of the sky, but like when she's, locked in her ultimate. But I found that one to be the most game-changing. Even over Bastion, which I almost didn't use his ultimate very often because I was just better in his turret mode.
Yeah, but his ultimate is really, really good for close quarter stuff. Like inside buildings and everything. Yeah, because you clear out the entire building in one shot.
Yeah, I like Mercy's too, but I'm never ready for it. I never expect to come back to life. So there's always like that quick second because I die and then
that ultimate doesn't work as well with random people, I think.
Especially for me, like when I die, cool, it's time to take a sip of my water, and then all of a sudden, kaboom, I'm back alive again, and it's like, do a spit take and try and grab the mouse again.
Yeah, but it does give you 2 or 3 seconds before you regain control of your character, so it's not as if you can't put down a glass of water and grab your mouse in that time, right?
I'm just not ready
But
for it.
Still,
Yeah,
maybe a 4 or 5 second cooldown would have been better.
There was a similar thing in League of Legends with Zillion where his ultimate, it brings you back to life, and it had a very small animation for a long time. I think now it like borders your screen in gold or so. I haven't played League of Legends in a couple of years, but that was a big problem. And I feel like Mercy kind of had that same thing. I was only revived by her once, and I caught it at the very last second because I know it does give you like a indicator. But yeah, it's just like you get so used to dying and going back to spawn that when one character does have a revive, it's like, oh shit, okay,
Yeah, I'm alive again. Crap,
let me switch modes real quick.
Yeah. Mercy's a cool hero, though. By the way, did you guys notice this? Everybody who's on your team, all the characters, they speak English. And when they're a character, and when the same characters on the enemy's team speak, they speak in their native tongue. So your Mercy will speak English constantly, and the Mercy on the other team will speak German, for instance.
Whoa,
that's awesome.
For real?
Yeah, so you can constantly figure out who's who. If you don't figure out that you're looking at an enemy, you just have to listen to them.
Yeah, that's really cool because that's not necessary whatsoever, and they still added that detail.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I love about Blizzard games. It's got that extra cherry on top, if you know what I mean. But it's always a little bit extra with them.
Their ultimates, they still speak English though, don't they?
Nope. Not if they're on the enemy team. Unless their native language is English, then of course they speak English, but nope.
Wow, okay.
Well done, Blizzard.
Yeah, there you go, Blizzard.
What do you guys think of the map design, and what was your favorite?
The maps are great. They're like just beautiful to look at. Although I will say that one sticky contention point I have is like when you start out and you're in the little rooms where you can shoot everything, that after playing the Division, like their ability or their level of environmental damage seems lacking.
How do you
mean?
You
can't shoot everything in those rooms. That's what I'm saying, and it's a bummer. Like all the lights, you can't shoot the lights. Anything that gives off light, you can't shoot it.
That is nitpicky.
It's extremely nitpicky, but the thing is that like when you can shoot everything, you always notice the thing that you can't shoot.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a shooting gallery and something doesn't react, you're like, oh man, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I get that.
But it's like a totally normal level, but it's just like after playing the Division specifically, I realized how much that game had raised the bar for destructible environments. I didn't notice it when I was playing it, but then Overwatch made me notice it, which I don't know, it's just something I saw.
Yeah, I guess.
Just let me shoot the lights out. That's it. Other than that, the maps are awesome. There's like 8 routes to get everywhere you want to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, they're all very intricately designed, and there's always a way to get the drop on somebody or for somebody else to get the drop on you, which I can really appreciate. And my favorite is probably King's Row. It has that great mesh of stereotypical British, London pubs and stuff like that, and the towering cyberpunk skyscrapers in the back.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Which is the one, it's like the Soviet one where there's the giant robots off in the distance just strolling around.
Yeah.
That one's really cool too. I remember when I first noticed those guys back there just walking around, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I think well, I'm kind of going to be anticlimactic here, but I was only able to play like 6 or 7 hours of Overwatch. And it was all very broken up except for the first chunk that I played. So I never got a full grasp of the maps. Like I wouldn't be able to draw a layout or anything like that whatsoever.
I couldn't tell you the names of any of them.
I'm still in that fun mode where it's like, I still don't really know what's going on. I know there's some things you should do and some things you shouldn't do, but I'm still in that area where it's like, I'm still learning what the possibilities in the game and my own capabilities and all that stuff. So it's super fun for me, but I couldn't tell you a favorite map. They're all cool to me. I think they all look beautiful. I think they all have like Blizzard, they have a way of doing this, like just making everything look crisp and clean and polished, but it also just looks fun. And it's a fun environment to play the game in without being cheesy. So that's what I have to say about the maps. But as far as like individual maps that I liked or didn't like, they were all good to me. I enjoyed playing on every single map, and if I had one nitpicky thing, it'd be some of them I feel like the choke points are a little too much. but like it can be a little too hard to get through some of the choke points, especially if the team has like a bastion or something. Like not hard, but just a pain in the ass, you know?
Yeah.
Well, pretty hard. There are some spots in several maps where Bastion can just set up and he doesn't need to leave for the entire game because his view is right on the site where the enemy team is coming from, and because of the high damage output of his minigun, he just slays everything. I've been that Bastion. I've also had to fight against that Bastion, and fuck that guy.
It's fun. It's fun to get him and go post up somewhere like just on a perfect angle and, you know, get 25 kills and 5 deaths, but that kind of gets old after a while, I think, for both teams.
Yeah, definitely. I think the... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I understand that, like, there's ways to get around it. There's characters you pick that can neutralize that Bastion and all that stuff, but as a player who's still learning the game, it's like, God, there's a Bastion set up over there. Now I got to pick Widowmaker. Now I got to pick someone else and go take care of that.
Genji. Always Genji, because he just slays Bastion.
If I wasn't terrible with Genji, I would use Genji.
Agreed. He's really hard to play. Mm-hmm. He's so jittery.
Yep. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I thought the maps, nothing really stood out to me as like, oh God, this sucks or that sucks. They were all great.
Yeah, I'm surprised by how well designed and how polished that game is. I played it on both the PlayStation 4 and the PC, and on PlayStation 4, it was alright, I guess. The performance was okay. Had some weird FPS drops in some places, but nothing too drastic. But on the PC, it also runs really, really well. It's not a very resource-intensive game to start with, but if you look at screenshots or gameplay, you wouldn't really notice that because the art style is fantastic. Mm-hmm. So it's art style over graphics any day, right?
100%.
Sorry, what?
Art style over graphics any day.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Just a good game.
So let's see what else. Yeah, are you guys going to buy this day one, you think?
Yes.
Is this something that you see yourself putting an ungodly amount of hours into?
Yep.
I see, that's the trick. I already bought it. So, yes, I guess. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like something that I want to play for a ton of hours. Like, I don't want to master Overwatch, like I said before, but I do want to have something fun to play with friends that I haven't played multiplayer games with in years. And so I think the community was a huge part of why I like this game so much. And will that extend into the retail release? I don't know. I hope a lot of those people pick it up. But I know I did. And I think that it fills if you had a shelf and like all your different types of video games on it, like I took down whatever was there, TF2, I guess, for team-based shooter, and now I put Overwatch there. And now whenever I want to play a team-based shooter, like that's the one I'm going to go to. So it filled a niche on my genre shelf. I don't know what to call it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
And so will I play it 100 million hours? Probably not. But like whenever I want to play a team-based shooter, this is going to be my go-to touchstone.
Yeah. I think for me, it's going to be a staple in my library just because of from graduating college now to being married and having to face the real world. My time is a lot more valuable than it used to be. So games where I can just hop in and hop out are great, and I think this is going to be one of them. And it's especially great because I can tell my wife, hey, I'm going to sit down and play a game for 20 minutes, not, hey, I'm going to sit down and be here for 4 hours, you know?
Yeah.
And it's got that right mix of fun and entertainment and polish mixed with competitiveness and strategy that works well for me. And I think FPS is my favorite viewpoint, I guess, my favorite genre. So I think it's going to become a staple for me that I'm just going to keep coming back to. And I know like a lot of my friends really like it, and it's something that you don't necessarily have to study to be good at it. You can just hop in and start playing.
Yeah, exactly. And Blizzard's really good at supporting their games a ton post-release. So this game probably has some legs, and that sort of makes sure that every time you boot up the game in the future, there's something new for you to play, because they said the heroes and the new maps coming out post-release will all be free. So you'll have a reason to jump back on every now and then just to check out the new stuff with your friends. That's really good.
It's very cool. I'd like to see. Can't wait to see what they do with that. What do they call that third mode?
Yeah, the weekly brawl thing.
Yeah, like I bet they've got some great ideas for that, just like they've been doing with Hearthstone. I can't wait to see. I mean, there's a lot of potential there, and I'd love to see what they do with it. And Blizzard will have the post-release support, so I think it's going to be a good one
Yeah.
for a long time coming.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope that it becomes that next big esports thing, because I think that this is pretty fun to look at as just an observer, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so we've talked about Overwatch. Everybody said what they wanted to say.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, then I'm going to mosey on over to Sam and ask him, what else have you been playing this week?
Okay, let's see. I've got I got 2 weeks worth of stuff from because Mother's Day. So
yeah.
I guess we will start at the top here. I played Ultimate Chicken Horse.
No idea what that is, but please tell me more.
Let me tell you more about Ultimate Chicken Horse because it's a really good game. It's local co-op, but you can also play online. So start from there.
Right.
The best games, you get 4 players, and you start out and you're on a platforming level with nothing in it. And then, so what happens is you all together fill the level with platforms and traps and crossbows and cannons and spinny things and spikes, but one piece at a time over a series of turns. Each turn, it's a race from the start to the finish. And if everybody makes it to the finish, nobody gets any points. And if everybody dies, nobody gets any points.
Right.
So you're playing the middle ground there. And if you're the only one who gets to the finish, you get the most points. And if somebody dies to your trap, you get a little chunk of points. And that's it. That's the whole game. You build the level together, and you try to make things that you think either you can get through or only a couple of you will be able to get through. And sometimes nobody can make it at all because it's impossible to finish. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Just 4 people building a platformer level of various levels of challenge, trying to outthink, and all the traps combine in these really interesting ways. You can stick things to other things and make giant buzzsaw twirls and stuff. Yeah.
That sounds unique.
It is. I guess it's almost like multiplayer Mario Maker, but much more simplistic than that.
All right, then. That sounds really cool, actually.
Yeah, the controls feel good. It's a great local co-op experience. I definitely recommend it. And their online stuff they're working on, it's a beta thing, but it seems like it plays okay. But
all right, what was the name
it's
again?
called Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Ultimate Chicken Horse. All right.
Of course.
Yeah, it's great.
I forget.
It's a fun one. All
right.
Yeah, let's see. Dark Souls 3, still jamming on that. I think I'm in the 3rd or the 4th area now. Still like it. Mm-hmm. Still fun.
Yeah.
You're
You're not done getting your ass handed to you?
No, not yet. I guess not. It's definitely hard sometimes, but I like Dark Souls games. I still think they're fun. I just haven't really been in a headspace to keep slamming myself against something, so I, haven't really had a time to really sit down and dig in without getting salty and giving up. Also, This week I picked up Pocket Card Jockey for the 3DS, and that game's pretty fun. I guess it's been making the rounds on the internet pretty heavily lately. It's a horse racing solitaire game.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah, I've heard about that. That game is weird.
The game is very weird, yeah. It's like you are a jockey and you get a solitaire game, and depending on how well you do in the solitaire game depends on how well you're going to do in the race. It's like there's like 4 solitaire games per race, but more or less depending on the length of the track. And then, so I can't even begin to get onto the stuff that layers on top of that because there's a ton. Imagine somebody making a game without being able to constrain themselves. Like they're like, wouldn't it be cool if you did this? And what if this tied in with this? So there's like meters and numbers and zones and cards and skills and breeding and racing. There's like just the manual for that game is probably 10 or 11 pages long. So but it's very cool. It's very fun to play. There's a lot to think about. There's a lot of elements interacting with each other. And like I said, if I tried to start explaining it to you, you would be a skeleton by the time I was finished.
Yeah, I've been hearing about this game on the Giant Bombcast, and I want to try that out some point in the future.
Yeah, I've dusted off my 3DS to pick it up, and it turned out it was only $7. So I was like, yeah, I'm in for $7, 100%. It's the first time I've had my DS in a very long time, so that's cool.
I don't even have a DS. Do you think that this is a game that would translate well to the mobile platform, as in iOS or Android?
I think it could. The 2-screen thing, you could just divide your cell phone screen in half, right?
Yeah.
But if you did that, it might be more of a tablet thing. I think it would work on a tablet.
Yeah, I got that one as well. Hopefully they port it to a different device.
That'd be cool.
Because I don't want to get a completely new one.
Yeah, I don't like carrying 2 things. So yeah, that'd be great too.
Yeah, right?
That's about it. I did beat Neo Scavenger, so that was cool.
All right, then.
Did that last week.
Oh, you gave me that game, but I added that game to the humongous backlog of games I still need to play. So every time I open up Steam, it's right there. I still haven't started it up, and it makes me feel guilty.
Nah, don't do that. I think he's still updating it and working on it, so might as well hang out.
It's still not out of early access.
I'm not sure. I honestly don't know, but I think I saw that the last update was reasonably recently.
All right.
So yeah, but compared to the last time I played that game, it's come a long way.
Maybe this week is the week. I'll try it out. I guess you have to listen to the next podcast to find out if I actually did.
Yeah, but that's about it for me. Just those 3 games. I really like Ultimate Chicken Horse Online. It almost simulates the local co-op experience, but co-op's where it's at for that one.
All right. Well, then I'll mosey on over to Ryan. What have you been playing this week, man?
Yeah, so I've been kind of jumping around this week. One game that I've been determined to become good at is Rocket League Hoops, which I've been playing still. And seriously, like, it was extremely difficult when I first started playing, but now I'm getting better at aerials. And I think, God, because I hate going into the practice mode and practicing aerials. It's the most boring thing. But like actually being able to just attempt them in games, it's made me a lot better at those. So that's kind of cool. So I've just been doing that. I also started playing... upon your guys' recommendation, I started playing Clash Royale. Game's good fun.
Let's not say recommendation. Maybe
I wouldn't go that far.
Your resounding recommendation.
Let's dial that back by about 50%, and then.
I mean, if I remember correctly, when I talked about that game for the first time, I did end that segment saying, "Well, I deleted it off my phone," so it's not really a glowing recommendation by any rate.
Hearing Chris's 10 out of 10 review, so I started playing Clash Royale. I was kind of like you, Chris. It was cool for a while, and then it kind of fell off. It reminded me a lot of. Did you guys ever play Crimson Warfare?
Nope.
No.
It was just this dumb Flash game that I played in like junior high. It's basically the same game, pretty much. Right. You couldn't place units, but you could select which ones could spawn, and then there was also a little bit of a base building element, but it was really basic. So that's what that game reminded me of, and it's fun. I keep it on my phone just for whenever I'm bored, but it was a game that I played a lot of for 2 or 3 days, and then I played it very seldom after that. But it's a good game. I like it.
Yeah, I agree with you there, but it's not the game itself that's the problem, right? Or at least for me, it was all the stuff surrounding it. It was the microtransactions and the ladder stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't like games that forcibly make me wait for extended periods of time just so I can progress.
Yeah, which is why it became a seldomly played game for me in about the span of a week.
Yeah, exactly, because it is very, very generous at the start, right? We're giving you free chests and this and that, but after a while, it like that countdown clock is getting longer and longer and longer.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the point is anymore.
Yeah, and I guess I just felt like it showed me all it had to show me very early on. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, this game is this. This game is this game, and that's all it was. So yeah, I played a good amount of that. Did some Overwatch, which we already talked about, and then Daisy .60 came out.
Right. Yeah, is it actually running better now?
Dude, it's running really well, at least on my system, which is i5 3570K and a GTX 770. And I was getting, outside of large cities, I was getting up to 120 frames. It was usually hovering about 70 or 80. And then inside big cities, so inside the biggest city, Cherno, I got, the lowest that I dipped to was 27. And
still playable.
It would be, I would say it'd average about 35 frames in giant cities, which was like heaps better than what it used to be, which was like 8.
Yeah.
So the new render, it's not a huge noticeable difference in, visual stuff right now other than fog, which really adds a nice atmospheric touch to it. But it does increase your frame rate by huge amounts. And they've added some other little things that I just noticed while playing the game, which were The zombies have like dynamic clothes now, so a lot of times you'll see zombies and they'll be wearing clothes that players are wearing, and you look at it and it's like, oh shit, there's a player, and then you realize it's a zombie. And the zombies also have they can climb over obstacles now. It's pretty rough still, but it's really cool to see like a zombie chasing another player, and they like vault over a gate or something. So that's really cool. And I think I saw on the DayZ subreddit that they've found game files for hordes, which I think are 20 right now, 20 zombies max.
Oh boy.
So those should start spawning, and it's just a encouraging sign, because I'm a DayZ supporter, but even I was like, God, come on, guys, like let's get this going, and it seems like 0.60 is doing that. So it's encouraging. It's really encouraging.
I just want that game to be done. You know?
Yeah.
Is the new patch deployed to all servers yet, or is it still those few experimental ones? Because those are really hard to get into.
So yeah, I guess they had like 30 experimental or something like that, and then they added 30 or 40 more. So it's a little bit easier to get in right now, but it's still very hard, which sucks. But it also is a good sign for the game that the servers are always packed full. So yeah, I'm excited about that, because that's a game I really like to play. But you know, when you sit on a patch for months at a time waiting for the next thing to come out, it can kind of wear on you. So
I'm a World of Warcraft player, sir. I'm used to having to wait extended periods of time for new content updates.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't really dive through the changelog, because I usually don't do that until a patch hits stable, because on experimental they're updating like daily, adding new things, changing things, that kind of stuff. So yeah, but it's a very encouraging step forward for DayZ, and I'm excited for it.
All right, cool. Anything else?
I don't think so. I think that's all I played this week.
All right. I played, in addition to Overwatch, I played some Stellaris, which is the new 4X space game by Paradox Interactive, the publisher behind City Skylines and also the developer of Europa Universalis and Crusader Kings.
Yeah.
And it's essentially a more simplified version of Europa Universalis. It's a 4X game that has all the micromanaging that you would like, but it's sort of easier to understand and has a better tutorial than Crusader Kings 2 and Europa Universalis. I couldn't get into those games because they are dense and they are really, really hard and have a steep learning curve. Stellaris has a slightly less steep learning curve, but it is still quite hard. The aim is to create a home for your chosen race amongst the stars, right? It's your typical 4X game. Colonize planets, research technologies, make sure your enemies don't invade you, you invade your enemies, stuff like that. And if you've played Civilization, for instance, you kind of know what kind of game this is. And I'm not sure I like it. The initial gameplay loop of starting your own empire and naming your empire and researching your technologies and making sure all the scientists are on the right ships and discovering and surveying all the stars near you or near your star system. That is all very cool, but the mid-game is a bit of a slog because researching takes a lot longer, building stuff becomes more expensive, you have to manage more planets across multiple star systems, and the system you can use to make sectors to let the AI manage those sectors for you, I don't really like, because once you bundle a few planets up in a sector, you can't really do you can't really make any changes to them.
Right.
So you have to unmake the sector, make your changes, and then make another sector again. I like the start. This is a good base for a game, but I think it needs several more expansion packs for it to become really, really good, because now it's just really boring after the first 2 hours of playing, and you're supposed to play these games for months on end, right? Because every game can take upwards of 3 or 4 months if you like.
That's a long
And it's just
game.
not interesting enough. Oh, yeah, it is a long game.
Hang on, I'm going to sit down for 4 months, play this game.
Is it difficult, or is it difficult to learn?
It is both. It's easier to learn than Europa Universalis or Crusader Kings are, but it's still pretty complex, and it requires you to micromanage a lot of things and keep track of a ton of stuff like resources and where all your ships are, because that's not always clear enough, at least not to me, but I'm an idiot, so what do I know?
And if you lose Will you go bankrupt, or somebody wipes you out, or something bad happens?
I didn't go bankrupt, but I would imagine that if you don't have any money anymore and you're not generating any money, there's nothing for you to be done in that game, so you might as well give up at that point. I did, in my most recent session, I did anger one of my neighboring species, which I thought were just weak pushover, so I attacked them, and then I discovered that they had a fucking armada waiting for me.
Yep, that'll do it.
So, yep.
Yeah.
So I think the human race is very close to extinction in my playthrough because that was a very dumb mistake.
Okay. All right. I mean, I looked at that game. I was very much stroking my chin and thinking about it, and I ended up on the no side just because I generally find that Paradox games are better a year or two after their release than they are initially.
Yeah, I think so. There's enough game in Stellaris right now to justify a purchase, I think. But at least to me, the mid game feels like a slog.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Which has to be rectified. Yeah, exactly. But on paper, it all looks good. The soundtrack's really great. The interface is pretty clear and straightforward, which I like. Tutorial is really good and full of little jokes and digs at AIs and humans and stuff. And I like that. But maybe just wait a while. But I need some 4X gameplay to tide me over until Civilization 6 comes out in October.
Pretty cool.
I'm really excited. I wasted hundreds upon hundreds of hours on Civ 5, and I'm really looking forward to new Civ. So yeah, what else have I played? I think that is about it, to be honest. So, as one thing I want to bring up before we move on to the news, of which there will probably just be one segment because we're running overly long as it is because of the Overwatch talk, but I wanted to talk about Lionhead real quick because they went bankrupt and some more details surfaced surrounding their bankruptcy. And apparently there were several buyers at the ready to buy the studio from Microsoft, but Microsoft said no to each and every one of them because they want to keep the Fable IP, which I find quite interesting.
Yeah.
So
wow,
maybe they're going to finish Fable Legends because the people that made Lionhead, the studio that made Fable 1 and stuff, that's no longer that studio was no longer there. It hasn't existed for quite some time. So somebody else can handle the IP.
That's so funny. It sounds like a kid, right? Like, I don't want this thing, but I know for sure that I don't want you to have it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they just want to license it out to a studio of their choosing. So maybe they're going to finish Fable Legends. I'm not sure. That's all conjecture based on pretty much nothing. But apparently that game was very, very far in release, and it was supposed to release at some point this year. So it was apparently very close to being finished. So I'd like to see that game finished.
Yeah, sure.
And that was it. Shall we go to the news?
Let's do it.
So we're just going to keep talking about Overwatch because we really like Overwatch, apparently. After the beta stopped, Blizzard sent out a press release saying that they have now permanently banned cheaters they discovered during the beta, and they will continue to do so. And they said this, and I quote, "Not only does cheating undermine the spirit of fair play that all of our products are based on, but it works to diminish the fun and enjoyment of others. While we are unlikely to publicly acknowledge when accounts are closed as a result of cheating or using unauthorized programs, we have and will continue to monitor Overwatch for exploitative behavior, as well as take action as needed to preserve the integrity of the game." So that's it. Permanently banned. No second chances. If you get reported, they will investigate you. If they find you guilty, you're out of there. And there's no way of getting back in there. And I love this. I absolutely love this. None of these 14-day bans or slaps on the wrist things. If you do something to get an unfair advantage over somebody else, you obviously don't really deserve to be in the game then.
Yeah, and we've seen
can't
that
play by his rules.
We've seen that ruin games very recently. Like, just think about The Division on PC. No bans for cheaters, nothing, no penalties for exploiting, and that game got way out of hand.
It's 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks of being banned, after which you can just come back and do the entire thing all over again.
Who cares? I think that Overwatch sits in a real sweet spot for that. And the other end of that would be something like Counter-Strike, where it's on sale all the time for $7.50, so they don't care. If they do get banned, they just buy it again and make a new account. Overwatch is $40 or $60 right now, so I think that they're in a good position for that to be effective.
Yeah.
And also, why would you cheat at Overwatch anyway? It seems like a game that, if I was somebody who was inclined to cheat at video games, I just can't imagine Overwatch would be the one that I would choose.
Yeah, because half the fun is figuring out the current meta within the actual match and responding accordingly. There's no fun in cheating your way through that. I don't get it. Why play a competitive game if you're just going to cheat anyway? Because every victory you will achieve will be hollow.
Well, yeah, that's what I think, and that's what you think, but maybe they think differently.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. I'm obviously in agreement with you guys, but like, if you had to play devil's advocate, what is the purpose of cheating?
To win.
Yeah, I think it's when you put a higher priority on the actual victory than the process getting there. I think that's what it all kind of boils down to. Like, the winning is the most important part.
Yeah, I guess if the way you win isn't important to you, but then what always gets me about it is the satisfaction from winning is knowing that you did things to make your team win. And if you're using a cheat, that means you're not doing anything. I mean, you're clicking, but there's a external piece of software that is doing it for you. So it's like,
well, I mean, to go full devil's advocate, I had to go find and install that piece of software, and therefore I'm being more clever than the other people in the game. Therefore, I am better than the other people. Therefore, I deserve the victory. There's a logic train there. It doesn't work for me.
Well, it's flawed reasoning.
Yeah, it's flawed because
it's very, very
because
flawed.
the whole purpose of the game is to play within a certain set of constraints, and when you remove those constraints, now you're not only cheating, but you're not playing the same game. You're not playing the same game as other people.
But I'm winning. I don't know, man. I think those people are dumb. I think it's a great idea, but even actually what I was talking about before is that Overwatch, the winning for some reason isn't even the culmination for me. Playing that game to win, I'm almost playing that game just to play it.
Yeah. Shall we going forward just call games like that like they're adhering to the Rocket League principle?
I think, yeah, I could.
Playing is just enough.
You could very much say that Overwatch adheres to the Rocket League principle. I have no problems with that.
Yeah, it is. It's a fun game to play. And I know that, I mean, if I were to play devil's advocate, I think one of my concerns would be people being unfairly banned. But how many people is that actually going to happen to? And
Not a lot. They've probably got software that identifies third-party programs being involved, and it's not a computer system that bans people. If the computer system gives them a name with reasonable doubt, they go investigating by hand, essentially. So if you're getting banned, you probably deserve it. And if you didn't, you can probably prove that. So you have nothing to be worried about.
Yeah, and I think unless they... it seems that the assumption is there that they're going to ban people under the suspicion of cheating, when I don't think it's going to be that way. I think it's going to be if there's undeniable proof that you're cheating, you'll be banned. If there is doubt, they're not going to ban someone for that.
Good on them,
because it's
too.
not fair.
Yeah.
That's guilty until proven innocent, you know? And I think it's worth it. And I think that, you know, if just pay for the game, download the game, play it. And if that's what you do, you will not be unjustly banned.
I would consider it highly unlikely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't see a problem with it. If someone cheats, ban them and just make it permanent. Why don't beat around the bush.
On the flip side, if you are one of those people that gets really, really worked up when they lose and starts reporting people for either sucking or for being way, way better than them, if I recall correctly, it is you who is going to get banned if you report people willy-nilly without a reason to. So, fuck. Oh, isn't that lovely though? Does that not make you feel all giddy inside?
Yep.
That's pretty nice. That is pretty nice. I wonder if the incidence of that stuff goes down, knowing that cheaters get permanent banned. Maybe you're more likely to assume that, like, if you know there's a harsh penalty for cheating, then when you're thinking about the person that's better than you, I bet you're less likely to assume that they're cheating.
Yeah, but have you ever played online team-based games?
That's true, but I think the ones in which it's more of a prevalent thing, people always is like, vac this dude, like that guy is hacking in Counter-Strike, because you know that there are hackers out there in Counter-Strike, and you know that they'll just pick up another copy of the game. Same thing with free-to-play games and stuff. I assume that with a very steep penalty, you would just assume that they're just better at Overwatch than you are. At least that's what I would think.
And if you're the guy reporting someone just for being better than you, come on, you're never going to play against that person again. Get over yourself. Come on.
You've got loads of people like that in Heroes of the Storm. The times I've seen people in chat flip out over somebody just being bad at the game and calling everybody to report him. It happens once every 4 games, I think. So it's something that does happen an awful lot.
Can you imagine if they did send you an email, though, and they were like, hey, listen, you're kind of bad at Heroes of the Storm from Blizzard customer support. Like, you've been reported.
Like we can't bar you from playing the game, but we would advise you to play offline against AI more
that
often.
That needs to be a job where it's your job to watch replays. And if a guy's bad and he's reporting people right and left, just send him an email. Hey.
Let's get an email from getgood@blizzard.com.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not going to judge you. Let's just be real. Like, you're bad.
Yeah, man, I like the idea of harsh penalties for cheating in that game, and it ensures that you've got a level playing field there. And the only thing that makes you different from other players is the amount of skill you have, the amount of skill somebody else has. So that's very good. We've been talking about Overwatch an awful lot, haven't we?
Game's good, man.
It's a good game.
I think that is all that we need to say about that. You know what? I'm just going to be a maverick here and just going to do the intro here right now. If you enjoyed listening to this on iTunes or on YouTube, please consider giving us a like or a subscribe or a review or a 5-star review, whatever the hell you like, or send us an email at selectcharacters@gmail.com. More links in the description. This was the Select Characters Overwatch cast. Yeah, we did a good job, and I'm going to bed, man. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.